What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. Do you have doors on your house? Do you have glass in your windows? Do you have a security system on your house? Well, then you're smarter than Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who have an open border. The reason why you have doors on your house is that while some people may stop by and intend nothing but good things for you, may bring you dinner, may bring you flowers, may just stop in to say hi, there are evil people in the world who may walk into your home if you don't have a door with a lock on it or windows, who may walk into your home intending you harm and may do horrible things. They may really devastate you if you let the wrong people into your home. And so you have to have a barrier for security purposes. That's what a border is. Because there are bad people in the world, and they will enter if there's nothing stopping them. That's what's happened with the open border. Tren de Aragua is a gang started in Venezuelan prison and now spread fear in the United States of America. This according to the AP. Former federal agent Wes Tabor says his phone has been lighting up with calls from police departments around the United States for advice on how to combat a growing threat from a Venezuelan gang. This is a prison gang. Tabor was in charge of the DEA in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. Venezuela has long been a major transit zone for cocaine smuggling and Colombian guerrillas with a leftist government that had close ties to some of America's top adversaries. And now they have sent their gangs and their prisoners to the United States. This is now considered a major security risk. Wow, I wonder how they got in to America. I doubt they were granted legal visas. They've been taking over and terrorizing entire apartment buildings in places like Aurora, Colorado. President Trump announcing Operation Aurora in Colorado, which will force the removal of illegal migrant gang members from Tren de Aragua. This is huge news. This gang has been staging violent takeovers of apartment complexes here in this country. Kamala Harris, border czar, has done nothing. Trump will be invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to make this happen. Will Kamala copy this plan too? Yeah. Okay. So this is Kamala. This is Donald Trump being a serious person talking about a serious problem. Guess what ABC News did? Yeah, you don't have to guess. I mean, obviously, you already know. Guess what ABC News did? ABC News had Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, on and said, Donald Trump wanting to get rid of the satanic, illegal Venezuelan criminal gang who's terrorizing Americans. Donald Trump is just being mean. They're literally arguing on behalf of the criminal gangs and that they should remain here and that Donald Trump is exaggerating the threat. J.D. Vance clapping back in a clip that went insanely viral. Do you hear yourself? Vance hammers ABC News' Martha Raddatz, who cried on election night. Just a reminder, she's the lady who actually broke down in tears when Donald Trump won for criticizing Trump over Aurora, Colorado, Venezuelan gang problems. Do you hear yourself? Vance questions Raddatz for attacking Trump. She admitted the Venezuelan gangs overran apartment complexes. They're just overrunning the apartment complexes here, okay? It's nothing to be worried about. Martha Raddatz doesn't live in one of these apartment complexes. So who cares? Those people are probably poor, right? According to Martha, ABC News anchor who has a chauffeur, according to her, living in the leafy suburbs of Virginia in a mansion. There are photos of it everywhere. It's like she lives in a mansion. According to her, everything's fine, because she is not a poor person who has to live in an apartment building being taken over by a Venezuelan prison gang. So everything good for her and Kamala. These people, they're sick. You don't hate your press enough. Here's J.D. Vance doing work on ABC News.
But we played some other comments about migrants, including in Aurora, in Colorado, where Trump said the city had been invaded and conquered by Venezuelan gangs. The Republican mayor of the city said flatly the city and state have not been taken over or invaded or occupied by migrant gangs. So do you support Donald Trump making those claims that the Republican mayor says were grossly exaggerated and have hurt the city's identity and sense of safety? I understand what you're saying, that some people left behind, but he's making these statements that the mayor is flat out disputing.
Well, Martha, you just said the mayor said they were exaggerated.
Grossly
that
exaggerated.
Means that there's got to be some that means there's got to be some element of truth here. And of course, President Trump was actually in Aurora, Colorado, talking to people on the ground. And what we're hearing, of course, Martha, is that people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to conflict you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border? Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
Okay.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this has gone thermonuclear viral, millions of views. J.D. Vance destroys ABC News. The anchor has been reduced into a weepy, stuttering mess. She didn't have anything to say. She said that it's only a handful of apartment complexes being seized. Only a handful of apartment complexes. These people are sick. They're sick. ABC went from saying these things aren't happening to these things are happening, but only sometimes. The next step is it's good that they're happening, right? You know that's coming. ABC News host humiliated by J.D. Vance. You hear yourself? It's time for the media to stop carrying water for Kamala Harris. They're doing so much to try and help Kamala Harris. Vance stands by Trump's false claims about Venezuelan gangs in Aurora, Colorado. ABC News is out with some truly pathetic cope after their DNC propagandists got destroyed on TV. Stands by Trump false claims. Look how sick these people are. Why do Republicans do this? Why do Republicans? I mean, I understand why. I understand why. It's good for JD to do this. JD is going on doing God's work. I mean, literally God's work on these networks, and it exposes so much more about ABC News than it does about anything else. So it's good that he's doing it. I gotta say, I love these JD Vance hits. ABC propagandist, crime apologist Martha Raddatz says Venezuelan gangs aren't the problem because they've only taken over some apartment complexes. Not playing games, man. It's very interesting to see Meghan McCain, who doesn't like Trump, sort of edge over to the MAGA side. It's really insane that Martha and her producers didn't see how awful her line and questioning sounds to a normal person. I'm sure it would have different feelings if she lived next to the apartment complex with a Venezuelan gang. She sounds psychotic, like completely psychotic. Tough role there for Martha Raddatz. J.D. Vance, again, I'm telling you, doing God's work on these networks. Going on these networks and speaking like hard and real truths. This is not the only time during the interview that J.D. Vance was able to school this propaganda. This is properly called DNC propaganda. It's not it's funny how the way these interviews go. The way these interviews go is the interviewer literally spits out Kamala Harris tweets and the harshest conceivable attack lines. It's never about just understanding what J.D. Vance believes. It's always about attacking. Attack. And then defending the criminals. Defending the actual criminal gangs. Which is what she's done here. It's amazing. But J.D. Vance flips it into a win. Turning these things into a win. And it shows just the genius of the guy. J.D. Vance is a genius pick. He's a smart pick. I was Team Vivek. J.D. Vance is a smart pick. Here's J.D. Vance pushing pro-family talk, which is so good. Yeah, on the same hit. and just making quick work of these anchors. They're so dumb. These anchors are so dumb. Here we go.
Let's move on to women and abortion. Donald Trump is leading Kamala Harris in our poll among males by 8 points, but lagging behind Harris by 9 points among females. You said during the debate that you and Trump have more to do to earn back people's trust, specifically as it relates to women and reproductive rights. 56% of those polled support restoring abortion access to what it was under Roe v. Wade. So what would you say specifically to the women watching this morning who believe they should have their own say over their bodies and not the government, either state or federal?
Well, Martha, first of all, what I'd say is that I think renationalizing this entire debate is a big mistake. And I understand that a lot of Americans, according to that poll, apparently disagree with me and President Trump here. But we want to respect Californians. We want to respect Alabamans. We want to respect Pennsylvanians. These folks are going to have different approaches to this particular topic. And I think that what we had in this country for 50 years was a culture war over this particular issue because we had nationalized it. And it's also important, Martha, that while Kamala Harris uses the slogan of returning to Roe versus Wade, she has endorsed policies that go way beyond anything that Roe versus Wade ever meant in this country. Taxpayer-funded abortions for late-term abortions. She's explicitly refused to endorse things like the Born Alive Act, which would protect babies who survive botched abortion. So while she hides behind the popular slogan of Roe versus Wade, Kamala Harris's actual abortion views, I think, are much more radical than even a lot, I think, frankly, most of our pro-choice citizens.
Let me go back again. What would you say to those women who don't want people involved in their individual rights? Kamala Harris is on that side of that, not you.
Well, I think, Martha, that's not right, actually. I think Kamala Harris has taken this so far that a lot of women, if they knew Kamala Harris's actual view and not the slogan, they would recognize that it's far more radical. They can believe in individual autonomy, but also recognize there are, of course, limits here. We don't want to abort 9-month-old babies here, and we don't want to have taxpayers funding it. So I think everybody recognizes there's a right balance to strike. But to answer your question, Martha, what I would say to women is that Donald Trump and I want to make it easier to make the choice of life in the first place. And I know a lot of young women, especially when I was younger, who chose abortion because they feel like they didn't have any options. And what I want to do as a person who admittedly, Martha, wants to protect the most vulnerable members of our society, I'd like to make it easier for women to choose life to begin with. I think that goes to lowering the cost of housing, which, of course, has skyrocketed under Kamala Harris's administration. I think it's making it easier for working moms to balance work and life and family. There's a lot that we can do to become more pro-family. That's how I think we can best earn back trust. And
Senator,
yes.
I want to get to some other topics here.
It's amazing what happens when you actually have a worldview that you defend, and that worldview is immovable, and you're able to, you have the intelligence and the raconteur to like actually defend it. It's amazing what happens when the ideas of America First are explained to the American people. They love them. That's why I say keep doing this. Keep doing it. Keep going on. I used to say, like, to have a blackout on ABC, CBS, and NBC. That'll just give them the opportunity to say they're scared. No, they're not scared. It's just having the right messenger. And this is so important. This is why many people seeing JD Vance, especially after the last debate, as like the heir to camp to Trump, right? Can't believe I'm saying it, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And the way that he's defending himself and this movement here, this is why populism is popular. The explanations make sense, and it locks in, and you're able to see like the real problems. ABC News. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe for real news.